Welcome back to Alpha Recap, the quick digest of the market day from stockalpha.ai. Markets were closed for the trading day and we're walking through what moved the tape. As always, if you have questions, you can reach us at stockalpha.ai and ask directly.
Great to be here. Lots to unpack from today. Geopolitics, semiconductors, a big crypto promotion, and a fresh wave of legal notices for small caps.
So, what really stands out here is how diplomatic rhetoric and analyst upgrades seem to stack together and actually influence sector flows today.
Right. The U.S China Association publicly praised the Trump-Xi meetings in Beijing. The statement itself wasn't a policy change, but analysts noted that positive diplomatic language often precedes real trade or regulatory follow-through. And markets try to price that in when it shows up.
Yeah, when you step back and look at this, exporters and supply chain sensitive sectors were the obvious ones to watch after that. If officials actually roll out concrete measures, that could re-rate some names.
Exactly, and that ties right into the semiconductor story. RBC Capital raised its outlook on Applied Materials, and Applied Materials was trading above about $440 in today's brief. Analysts called it another sign of capex momentum across the chip cycle.
So upgrades like that, they're not just a headline. They change assumptions around future spending. If customers loosen up on capex because policy risk looks lower, that can feed equipment demand down the line.
Right. Investors should watch downstream order books and chip makers' capex commentary for validation. Upgrades are helpful, but the real confirmation is orders showing up in the pipeline.
Short reaction. Let's pivot to crypto and payments. This one was loud today.
Bybit rolled out a $100 million global assets giveaway, spanning 40 days and covering hundreds of assets. The promotion was explicitly aimed at boosting real-world asset trading and platform liquidity.
$100 million. Big number for a short campaign. And they paired it with a cardholder cashback promo tied to Bitcoin Pizza Day, which was a cheeky user acquisition move.
Yeah, promotions like that are designed to spike volumes and get new users paying and trading. The question analysts raised was durability. Will these users stick around once the promotion ends?
We also saw the Bitcoin futures ETF finish up about 2.3% on heavier volume, which lines up with platform-led demand spilling into listed products.
Promotions can lift fee revenues and volumes temporarily. Analysts stress that the long-term story depends on retention and whether acquisition costs are justified by lifetime value.
Quick reaction.
Right.
Institutional flows got attention today too. Goldman Sachs International's Form 13F showed some large percentage shifts. One move was on the order of about 113%.
Those point-in-time filings are a reminder that big reweights and concentration moves by large fiduciaries can create outsized volatility in specific names. It's a common source of rapid price moves.
And when you have analyst upgrades, institutional reweighting, and improving geopolitics, you can get a momentum loop. Funds pile into names, and that amplifies sector moves.
On the trading desk front, leveraged and inverse ETFs saw notable activity. The leveraged small-cap inverse ETF finished down about 1.8%, and an inverse semiconductor fund was down about 0.9%. Both were among the most actively traded.
High volumes in those products can widen spreads and increase slippage for big orders. Traders should watch execution risk when flows spike.
Okay, time for the less fun part. Legal overhangs.
Yeah, we saw several law firms put out notices on potential securities litigation for a batch of smaller names. Coty, Gemini Space Station, Atara Biotherapeutics, Lufax, and Regencell were among those flagged.
Litigation creates a valuation and earnings drag that can persist. Lead plaintiff motions, discovery milestones, and settlement chatter tend to generate episodic spikes in volume and price volatility.
Not what event-driven traders want to ignore. But it's also more of a headline and technical risk for small caps and biotech than a fundamental story for long-term value investors.
Short reaction.
Wow, okay.
Shifting gears. Corporate events and industry convenings also had a few interesting items. Chesapeake Utilities executives will present at an industry financial forum next week, And that kind of management access can move utility stocks if there are surprises on capital allocation or regulation.
And there were some hires and partnerships. Growth Catalyst Group named a new chief commercial officer, and there were international convenings like a banking association meeting in Africa and a sustainability pilot from the Culinary Institute. Small signals, but useful for thematic research.
On consumer and retail, Wet Nose is expanded into a major e-commerce retailer's online channel with a £5 organic treat SKU. Exclusive placements like that can generate measurable sales lifts for small brands.
Those distribution moves are early indicators. Analysts usually wait for sell-through data before updating revenue models, but they do matter for category dynamics.
A few rapid-fire market updates. Warburg Pincus sold about $290 million in Cetera Health shares, which could affect float and liquidity. Visa posted institutional ownership updates and has an estimated earnings date in late July. And don't forget the Bitcoin futures ETF we mentioned earlier that was up about 2.3%.
Right, and the theme we kept seeing across headlines today was geopolicy plus CapEx. Positive diplomatic signals and semiconductor equipment upgrades created a constructive backdrop for CapEx-sensitive names.
And platform-led growth plays a back in vogue. Exchanges using big, time-limited campaigns to force short, high-intensity volume windows that can skew microstructure and liquidity.
The legal risk concentration was another structural theme. That cluster of securities litigation notices keeps event risk elevated in small caps and biotech.
So what should listeners watch tomorrow? First, any follow-up from US or Chinese officials after the Beijing meetings. A concrete announcement would be the market catalyst everyone would notice.
Also, more analyst notes or order book commentary from Applied Materials and other equipment suppliers. And we should track early metrics from the crypto giveaway. Asset level inflows, trading volumes, and card activations during the first week.
Keep an eye on reactions to the large secondary sell today too. Whether there are more block sales tied to that Warburg Pincus trade. And watch court dockets for Coty, Gemini Space Station, Atara, Lufax, and Regencell for lead plaintiff appointments.
Quick summarizing takeaways?
First, diplomacy mattered as sentiment. It didn't change rules, yet, but it set a tone that could unlock CapEx confidence for some buyers.
Second, semiconductor equipment momentum was reinforced by the upgrade, but the real confirmation will be in order books and CapEx commentary from chip makers.
Third, platform promotions can move volumes and listed products in the short run. Watch retention metrics to judge durability.
Fourth, legal notices are a persistent risk for small cap and biotech universes. Expect episodic volatility around courtroom milestones.
And lastly, institutional reweights and concentrated 13F moves can create outsized single-name moves. Those filings are snapshots, but they matter for liquidity and sector exposure.
A quick reminder, this episode was recorded after the market close, and everything we discussed is historical market action. This digest is for informational purposes only and not individualized investment advice. Analysts note these trends for scenario analysis, not as trading recommendations.
If you want more detail on any item we covered or have a specific question, head to stockalpha.ai, where you can ask us directly and we'll answer live. For more market analysis and insights, visit stockalpha.ai.
Thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow with another recap after the close. Stay curious and we'll see you on the next Alpha Recap.